guys, welcome back to another episode of Guitar Talk with Todd here at Todd Beebe Music. Thank you so much for checking in. You know I appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner and help me out here. I appreciate you guys so much. We always have something going on here. Weekly content is posted, artist interviews, lessons, product reviews, and guitar reviews, which is what we're going to do again today. Today we have the beautiful Gibson J-45. The J-45 was introduced by Gibson in 1942. Again, this is a dreadnought style body, which Martin Guitar, CF Martin and Company introduced the dreadnought in 1916, which is also called the D series. And it's just a bigger, fuller body. Check out my links below. I'll put to a couple of Martin guitars we've reviewed on the show, a D16 and a D28. We have more coming. We love our Martins around here, but we love our Gibsons too. Gibson makes some great acoustic guitars. They always have. And the J-45 is certainly what they call the workhorse in their line. Like I said, it is a dreadnought style body, which Martin introduced in 1916, and then in 1942, the first Gibson J-45 came out. These are just beautiful guitars, Sitka spruce top, mahogany back and sides. These have become just a super huge staple in the Gibson line. Gibson has a lot of legendary acoustic guitars, of course, like the Dove and whatnot. But the J-45 has always been dubbed the workhorse, and it's just a fantastic instrument. Rosewood fingerboard, mother of pearl, dot inlays. We'll get close-ups of this in the case like we always do. Interesting thing about the numbers on not only the J-45 but all Gibson guitars that I've come to realize a lot of people don't know about, like say the ES-335, the ES-125, all the older models of Gibson that have of course become classic through the years. Those numbers originally were the prices. So an original ES-335, when it first hit, was $335. A J-45, you guessed it, was $45 when it first hit in 1942. Wow, is that something to think about? Now, especially with depending on the vintage of the particular guitar, you can add a couple of zeros, if not more, to those numbers. And of course, they just kept them with the particular model, but that is what those numbers mean. So the J-45 was $45 when it first hit in 1942. It's pretty amazing. This was made in Bozeman, Montana. This particular one I'm holding is a 2002 model. Any of you that have seen me playing out, I'm a full-time musician, as most of you know. So, I mean, I'm playing gigs constantly, weekends, during the week, whenever and wherever, and always out working. And this guitar I'm holding right here, the J-45, is definitely one of my workhorses. If you've seen me live, you've probably seen this with me before. Great guitar. Like I said, we're going to get some close-ups of it in the case. This is a 2002 model. The older ones, this is being recorded in 2022, and right now I know the Gibson J-45 standard, as they call it, is out, which is really what this would be. And then they have like reissued the classic 50s model, which has like the silk screened Gibson logo versus the mother of pearl, which this has. So the original ones were like that. They did not have the mother of pearl logo on there. And but through the years they've kind of, you know, upgraded to getting that on there. I like the mother of pearl logo, but like I said, as of right now, they are reissuing the ones exactly like the 50s, which is pretty common right now. A lot of people like the vintage look and of everything, but like I said, this is a 2002 model, and Nothing really, special about it, except it is special. But it was just a standard production line guitar for a J-45 of that year, made in Bozeman, Montana. Gibson opened the acoustic guitar factory in Bozeman, Montana in 1989. It's kind of funny because whenever people talk about Gibson or whatever, it's always Nashville and, obviously Kalamazoo, where they first came out of. And with good reason. That's where all the electrics are made and the classic stuff. But back in the day, going back to the Kalamazoo factory for a second, that's where all of this stuff was made. And, obviously Gibson moved to Nashville in the mid-'80s, and that's a whole other story. But in 1989, they opened the acoustic factory in Bozeman, Montana. And it's kind of funny because you never hear a lot of people talk about that. And it's almost like Bozeman, Montana, that whole factory and everything kind of has like their own thing going on. And a lot of times people are talking about Gibson in Nashville and all the stuff going on. And then it's like, oh yeah, there's that other Gibson factory out in Montana that makes the acoustic guitars. And they've done awesome work there from day one. That opened up in 1989 during the Henry Juskowitz era, which you've heard me say on here before, everybody hates on Henry now and what a terrible job he did. And things did kind of go off the rails there at the end of his era. But you got to give him credit. And the Bozeman factory opened under his leadership. And the 90s Gibson, like you always hear me say, is my favorite era besides the classic era of like the mid 50s to mid 60s. 90s Gibson is fantastic, and Henry was responsible for that, and Henry's responsible for getting the acoustic factory going there in Bozeman, Montana, and they've done fantastic work. This one came out of there. So up until 1989, like I said, obviously the classic ones were all made in Kalamazoo, Michigan at the Gibson plant. There was a short time there when Gibson moved to Nashville, where some of them were made in Nashville. It's kind of a gray area there of where some of them were made. Nashville, and I think that's why between like 1984, 1985, when they were full-time down in Nashville, until 1989 when they opened the Bozeman factory, that's kind of a gray area there, but most of them were just being made down there in Nashville, and I think that's when they said, look, we need a separate factory. This demand is getting too big here for all of this stuff. And Bozeman, Montana was chosen really, I think, because of the climate. It's just fantastic, weather out there for it's kind of perfect weather for making acoustic guitars, which are a lot more susceptible to, damage and obviously during the cold months. Check out my interview. Check out my clip. It's been a long day here about humidifying acoustic guitars. I'll put the link to that down below. It's winter here in Chicago where I'm at, December of 2022. So make sure you're using your humidifiers, especially on guitars like this. And I do believe that's why they opened the factory in Bozeman, Montana, because it's like perfect climate for building acoustic guitars. They do great work out there since 1989. They're just fantastic. And like I said, it's kind of like they have their own thing going on out there. Even though they are owned and ran by Gibson, it's all the same. But it's like you have the Bozeman factory in Montana, and then you have obviously Gibson Nashville, which is, like I said, they're almost like two separate things in a way. But all right, so let's check her out in the case and get some close-ups of all this and look at her a little bit more in depth. Here we go. Okay, guys, so here is the case for the Gibson J-45 in vintage sunburst. All original case. Like I said, this is mine. This is definitely the period correct one that came with it. You got the Gibson logo, pretty bare bones here. Like I said, this is a 2002 model. I bought this off of someone else used. So that is the original case, though, that came with it. And there she is inside. So like I said, we got the classic, what they call vintage sunburst going on. Very popular color here for a Gibson J-45. This does have the LR Bags acoustic pickup system in it that I installed. I love LR Bag stuff. They just sound fantastic. As always, there is our Strumhard that many of you know I'm a huge fan of. I'm going to put their link up on here. I'm a huge fan of Strumhard, and I recommend everybody putting those on your acoustic guitar. If you dig in deep like I do under the strings, you don't want to carve things out here, and Strumhard will definitely take care of that problem. So check them out at strumhard.com. I'll put their link below. Classic stuff going on here. We've got the bridge, just a typical Gibson J-45 that you would expect. Pick guard going on here. Rosewood fingerboard with mother of pearl dot inlays going all the way up here. Just beautiful. Like I said, this is a workhorse guitar, but any of you that know me know that I baby my guitars, so it's in fantastic shape. Like I said, the classic J-45s of the 40s and 50s had a silkscreen logo on here, and as of 2022, Gibson has reissued those, so you can buy one that's just like that. This is what they call the J-45 standard, and it's got the mother of pearl Gibson logo as opposed to the silkscreen. Bell-shaped truss rod cover that you always have on Gibson guitars. Grover tuners, which we love, and we're going to look at those more close up when we flip her over here. Let's do that right now. Okay, Sitka spruce top, and we got the mahogany back and sides going on here. I'm trying to focus in. As many of you know, I'm a huge supporter of Straptight. I'm going to put my video that I did for them a couple of weeks back below too. That's one of the bigger Straptights on there. Probably not going to come off. This is a pretty good strap button, and it's already drilled into the neck, which is great. Those of you that have checked out my Martin reviews, I'll put the links below on those too. When I play those and they're not drilled out, I go ahead and use the Planet Waves quick release system, but hey, if it's already drilled out and it was done at the factory, I'm totally fine doing this. I just don't, not big on doing it on my own. If it doesn't have it, I'll just throw the quick release on and hook the strap up around the, you know, top of the neck by the headstock. But this works out well, and I do just leave the strap on in the case, which I'll show you in a minute. Don't necessarily recommend that. I do not do it on my electrics, but on these acoustics, the strap is so thin that I use because acoustics are so light. I just go ahead and fold it up and it stays right in the case, and I've never had a problem with that. Okay, going up the neck here to the headstock, like we were talking about, we've got the classic Grover tuners going on there, which are just awesome. You can never go wrong with Grovers. Those come standard on all of the J-45 standards as of 2022 right now as well. All right, and there is one more shot of her in the case. Like I say, you can kind of see down here, I basically fold the strap up and it tucks right here in the little pocket here in the front. I do that on all of my acoustic guitars. I've never had a problem. I've done that for years. Like I said, I have Straptight on there, so this just stays fully on. And I've just never, ever had a problem with this at all, doing it that way. So I pretty much do that on all my acoustics. I do a lot of acoustic shows. It just makes it way more convenient for me to take them right out of the case and go. So there she is. One more shot. Full on of the beautiful Gibson J-45 in vintage sunburst there. 2002 edition. All right, guys, so there she is in the case. Let's take her for a test drive here like we always do. Gonna do some slide stuff, a little bit of classic country, and even kind of a jazzy thing that I just recorded myself playing. I'm gonna let that roll and just kind of play over the top of it. So check her out, the Gibson J-45. All right, guys, so there she is, the Gibson J-45 2002 model in the beautiful vintage sunburst. Like I said, this is always dubbed as the workhorse of the Gibson acoustic guitar line, and it most definitely is one of mine. I've played a lot of shows with this guitar, and I plan on playing a lot more. So if you've ever seen me live, or you will coming up, you'll probably see this guitar at one of the shows for sure. But thanks so much, you guys. Please comment below. Let me know if you think, what you think about the Gibson J-45. Maybe you have another Gibson acoustic, a Dove. You know, they have fantastic line. Gibson always has. Let me know if you've got one of the classic ones made in Kalamazoo or Bozeman, Montana, like this one. And please hit that subscribe button, you guys, in the lower right-hand corner. You know I appreciate it. Find us at Todd Beebe Music on Facebook. And we will see you guys again. Thank you so much for checking in with us. Stay safe and love your dogs. Take care.